Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everyone. Thanks for joining in on this beautiful sunshiny afternoon. Today we're going to talk about the fact that I am in fact a diehard BMW owner. I've owned E36s, E46s. I've also owned cars like E70 X5s, E60 M5s, as well as a E92 335i. So it's pretty obvious that I love the BMW brand. However, today I'm going to talk about why did I buy a Jaguar F Type R instead of a BMW. Let's get into it now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place, and today... So I bet you guys are all wondering what a BMW owner is doing in a Tata Motors car like a Jaguar, the JLR group. That's right, I'm sitting in an F Type R today, which has a supercharged V8, makes about 550 horse. Pretty significant, big scheme of things. And you've probably wondered, well, BMW has cars that can counter that and possibly exceed the performance statistics that you would find in a Jag F Type R. And you would be right in a lot of cases. I've been shopping for some time. I've been thinking about a lot of different options. In terms of the BMW world, of course, there's lots of great choices. If you've seen previous videos of mine, I've talked about the M2 competition being arguably the best BMW available out there for the driver, the true driving experience. Likely the M2 Comp is the car to have. It's got the S55 engine, slightly detuned, makes a lot of power, slightly heavier than the M4, which is odd, but it is. But because of its shorter wheelbase and the fact that it's a simpler interior, more Spartan, less to go wrong, you can either get a manual gearbox or a DCT, makes it a perfect choice for track day weapon. Now with that said, okay, maybe that's too extreme for a day-to-day car. You want something that's a little bit more practical, and I thought, well, an M2 competition, it's rear-wheel drive, it's not going to do very well in the wintertime, so maybe not the best daily choice. I mean, if I was going to take a car and put it on the back of a trailer, take it out for autocrossing, and then take it home, drop it off, and then get in your daily car, then that would probably be fine. But for a daily car, I decided it was a little too high-strung, not quite practical enough in the sense that rear-wheel drive, it just wasn't exactly what I was looking for, a car that had to meet all my daily criteria. So then the question you probably ask is, why wouldn't I have bought an F90 M5? 4.4 liter V8 engine, twin turbocharged, makes 600 plus horse. All-wheel drive, you can turn it off, do retire smoke shows, but you have the practicality and the durability for winter driving. Trunk, 4 doors. It covers really all bases. It's a hard car not to love. And trust me, I crossed that path and I really felt that I wanted to buy an F90. After all, I've got an M5 and I love those cars, but I didn't really want to do it again because I felt like I would be sort of duplicating the effort. And while it's better and a faster car in many ways over the E60, it would be just putting another one of those cars in my stable effectively. So I thought, well, it's a little conservative. I'd be duplicating. So what else is there out there? Well, you can look at a Z4 M40i, which you can get the B58, the turbocharged 3-liter 6-cylinder engine. Great choice. Rear-wheel drive again. And because it's a convertible, it is really a lot more summer-oriented than anything else. So it really wouldn't satisfy my daily driving capabilities. If you're looking for a roadster and you want something fast, that's probably one of the best on the business. However, then what else is there in the BMW world? Well, I didn't want an M8, too big, just not really what I was looking for. i8, no, not really. It's obsolete. As you know, that car is going away. So then I know you guys are asking the question, what about the obvious? It's the elephant in the room, and it's the M3 and M4, both equipped with the S55 engine. One's a coupe, one's a sedan. They're both phenomenal cars, and I love them. And I've always loved the M3 cars. They've always struck that perfect balance of performance, style, the elegance, but yet it's got that sporting appeal. It really is the best blend. You don't have the smaller, diminutive size of the M2 or the 2 Series cars, and you're not going all in with the 5 Series cars. You're getting something that is really very much performance oriented. Size, performance, statistics, it's all there. It matches all the criteria you could ever want in a performance car. Why didn't I buy an M3 or an M4? Well, first of all, when I was out shopping, I was looking at a lot of cars, and the M3s, M4s, BMWs, I was looking at the Jag and a Porsche and the 911s. I was even looking at Alfa Romeos. I was looking at a lot of cars. But how did I really come down to the Jaguar? Well, let me just say, comparing that with the sportiest offerings from the BMW lineup would be the M4 Club Sport. GTS is way too extreme, but the Club Sport, the CS, the M4 CS is arguably the sportiest, most powerful car with about 450 and change horsepower. Rear-wheel drive, DCT, or manual gearbox available. Absolutely amazing car with some carbon fiber hood and roof. It is a great car. Great handling, it sticks to the road like glue. much better than the standard M4. It's only 35 pounds lighter than the M4 competition, but the competition is also lighter than the standard M4, so it all trickles down. Now, the standard M4 isn't really nearly as quick as the Jag that I'm riding in today. Not really. It doesn't accelerate as hard, it doesn't brake as hard, and it doesn't hit the slalom or the corners as hard. How about some statistics? How about compare a basic M4 to an F Type R? 0 to 60 time, 3.7 seconds in the R, 4.1 in the M4. Quarter mile, 12.1 in the M4, and a quarter mile is about 11.7 in the F Type R. Significant difference. By the time you keep winding it out, the gap keeps growing and growing and growing. Handling, 0.98 G on the skid pad for the M4, 1.0 on the F Type R. As well, the braking, you'd never believe it because the Jag is generally a heavier car. It outweighs the M4 by about 300 pounds. And so it still stops harder than the M4. There's been several tests performed that it stops shorter, accelerates harder, and corners crisper. As well, it's got a better turning radius for those day-to-day maneuverability concerns. There's more safety features. You've got the cross-referencing blind spot detection. You've got other features in these cars that are there and capable. So there's 4 main reasons I opted to go with the F Type R over an M4 CS. And one of them is performance. We already spoke of that. The numbers just tell the story. Number 2 is practicality. Well, I know before you beat me up, yes, you're right. The M4 arguably is slightly more practical. The trunk is marginally larger, and you've got back seats to boot. So you've got 2 extra carrying capability. So on that sense, yes, it's more practical. Depends on what your sense of practicality means. My sense of practicality where I live happens to be able to commute through bad road conditions, snow, heavy rains. We see that a lot. So as a matter of fact, here in Canada, we see 3/4 of the year happens to be snow covered. So I need a car with all-wheel drive ideally. Now, sure, these P0s aren't going to help my cause, but I can augment that with a set of winter skins, and I can drive this car all year round. As a matter of fact, the salesman that I bought the car from personally drives an F Type R and has winter tires and drives it all year round. So it's very practical in that sense. The trunk is surprisingly large on the coupe, not so much on the convertible. But that's all there. That makes all the practicality that I particularly need. If you don't need back seats, it does everything just as well in terms of overall space and carrying capability. But the all-wheel drive was a big factor for me. And so the third thing I love about the F Type R is that while every brand has its own gimmicks and its own little nannies to give you extra impression of driving performance and dynamics, Jaguar is a little more honest. They only seem to give you the key essentials. Sure, the most complex thing that they have here in the F Type is this drift control, which prevents the car from getting too out of hand. Now, it does control the car when you start to slide and drift sideways. It does try to keep the car in line. And of course, that's capable with all-wheel drive systems. And so that helps keep the car under control without going off into the hedges. But besides that and the exhaust baffles, ultimately this car is just raw animal. When you hit the dynamic button, that's all you're getting. You're getting a red dashboard, you're getting open exhaust baffles, and you're getting a slightly more aggressive shift. But you're not getting a whole lot of other simulated electronic wizardry. You're getting the things that enhance it. The sound, the looks on the dash, and the nanny to keep you safe from drifting into the hedges. And not like some of the BMWs now, they're starting to inject some of that fake and false sounds through the speakers to simulate a muffler sound, to simulate performance engine sounds. But the reality is most of these cars now are turbocharged. The way they're set up with turbos, mufflers, resonators, catalytic converters, by the time the sound comes out the tailpipe, there's virtually no sound at all. It's almost like a vacuum cleaner. So that's truly what drew me into the F Type. The BMWs, they sound incredible. They're great. But again, the F Type just took that to another level. That's all I'm saying. But let's wait and see what the next M4 has in store. But that takes me to the fourth reason why I bought the F Type R. I was at a point, do I buy an M4 or a Club Sport, GTS? Do I buy any of those? They're awesome. And trust me, I came really close to those too. For the same reason that I looked at the M5 being the all-in, once and done, do everything for you kind of a car. The M4 could have been almost that, but it's rear-wheel drive. However, did you hear that the latest M4 they're talking about coming out here in about a year's time will come with either 2 options for drivetrain, either rear-wheel drive in your conventional style or the possibility of xDrive all-wheel drive system in the new M4. Now, as a true car enthusiast, I would honestly tell you rear-wheel drive is always the best way to go. You can get into those big drifts, you can do some fun stuff, burnouts. There's a lot of things you can do with rear-wheel drive systems. But the point of the matter is, we're going from transitioning from a time where you can get a lot of that short-term excitement right now, it's a bit more of a novelty, to a car that just hooks and goes and turns that acceleration into nothing but eye-watering acceleration that honestly you get with an all-wheel drive system and huge horsepower. That's why the new F90 M5 is so brisk. That's why these F Type Rs are so brisk, because they're all-wheel drive. As a matter of fact, even Jaguar realized early on when they first came out with the F Type that the rear-wheel drive just wasn't cutting the mustard. Too many collisions, spin-outs, and customers just weren't entirely satisfied. Now, while there is a group of folks that love that car better, for the most part, in terms of performance numbers, putting it down, the all-wheel drive cars do it better, safer, and will get around a track way quicker any day of the week. And so that's why here we find ourselves in this gray zone, the twilight zone, if you will. The M4 is not out yet. We're still transitioning out of the older, more analog version of M4 into what we'd consider more digital version, which, again, as you would expect to see, the new M4 will likely have the digital display that the current 3 Series cars have. It'll be up in horsepower, closer to 500 horsepower, and with all-wheel drive and double clutch transmission or a manual available, trust me when I say I am truly very, very excited for this new M4. Yes, I know the bucktooth look I think is going to transfer through, and I know a lot of enthusiasts are not going to love that look of the front end, but I believe it'll grow on people. And just the performance alone, I think, will tell the entire story. So I'm so excited to wait for that brand new M4 when it comes out in about a year's time. Possibly take one for a drive. We'll see the rear-wheel drive versus the all-wheel drive. We'll try some with either the manual or the double-clutch transmissions, and we'll see how they all drive. But with all the newest tech, the revised interiors, and the increased performance, I can't help but think that car is going to be absolutely amazing. And that's why, partially was, I bought an exciting car. I didn't want to get into the old M4. I feel that just because the new one's just around the corner. The M5 just didn't quite snap enough for me in terms of the look and the styling. And the M2 just wasn't quite practical enough for day-to-day. All phenomenal cars, and you cannot go wrong with any of them. For me, I needed something daily driver that was all-wheel drive and had some of these other amenities. Heated seats, heated windshields, and all that kind of fun jazz. So that is why this BMW owner decided to buy an F Type R. So thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you also approve of my choice buying the F Type R. Of course, BMW is always going to be part of my life. As you can tell, I still own these BMWs. There's no point in getting rid of perfection. So all I'm doing is adding another great car to the fleet. So I'd love to hear in the comments down below, guys, what you guys think about the F Type R. As well, what do you think would be a great replacement? If I didn't buy the F Type, what would have been a better BMW in your opinion? Either way, hit the link over there. You're also going to enjoy that video. We're talking about 2020's best luxury cars. Hope to see you guys real soon. Catch you then. Bye-bye.